On this episode of VLGA Connect, we travel out to Western Victoria. We speak with Peter Brown, the CEO of Colac Otway Shire, about how they're dealing with the issue of visiting holiday home owners during COVID-19. Peter Brown, great to speak with you. Peter's the CEO of Colac Otway Shire, and like everyone, dealing with COVID-19 on a day-to-day basis as things change. Peter, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Chris. Good to talk to you again.
It's great to see you. I noticed a media release from your mayor yesterday dealing with this somewhat vexed issue of people who have holiday homes in country and regional areas. The Easter holiday breaks upon us very, very soon. And the message really was, yes, use your holiday home, you're a ratepayer, but don't expect it to be a normal holiday, which I thought was a really good way of phrasing it. Is this something that's really been challenging your council, how to deal with?
I think it does challenge us how to deal with it, and I think there are a number of, like all interesting problems, there are a number of aspects to it. And so, yeah, certainly Apollo Bay is their main focus, which is a small community on the coast. It has really good medical facilities, but they're not large, and so they won't be able to deal with an influx of people. They have set themselves up really well, and they've got a good plan, but they just don't need a lot of extra pressure. So I guess our concern is that if people are going down to Apollo Bay and then they're becoming sick, that community will have difficulty dealing with them.
Are you aware of cases of COVID-19 in your community now?
Oh, well, we're very fortunate, and quite unbelievably so. We're one of 10 local governments in Victoria that has, as at this day, don't have. And surprisingly, to some extent, for Apollo Bay, which is on the tourist route and would have had significant overseas visitation over the last 2 or 3 months. So we are surprised that there isn't, but we're thinking a good fortune today. I guess the issue that other side of this, and the Premier's touched on this, if you own a second home, you have a right to be there. We also need to acknowledge that people that own a home in Apollo Bay are paying rates. And so they have every right to reside in that home. I just guess we'd ask them to think about their situation and whether they're better off being in Melbourne, close to larger medical facilities, than what they are being in Apollo Bay.
Peter, the use of beaches and those sorts of locations has been very much in the news of late, until the very clear messaging of only 4 reasons to leave home came out. Was that creating challenges for you as a small council?
Not from beaches, no, that's not. I think we're far away from Melbourne, so the day trippers haven't sort of descended on us like they did, for example, at Anglesea and Torquay. But I think there are still visitors moving through who probably should be thinking about whether that's the best thing for them to do.
So I've heard a couple of CEOs say that this thing is really keeping us on our toes on a day-to-day basis. Every day there's something new coming from the state or federal government in terms of things that need to be implemented. How are you keeping up with all of that and I guess getting on top of what you need to do on the ground?
I think particularly rural municipalities and ones that have been used to having other sorts of disasters like fires and floods have a good emergency management system. And so we swung that into gear, I think back at the end of January, and got it set up. We've also had to deal with pandemics in the past, although the consequences of them haven't been as great. But we'd set ourselves up to be able to deal with these sort of things. And one of the philosophies we've used here is we think ahead, we plan ahead, we think about all the possibilities, but we don't act until we have a clear direction from state or federal government. And so that stood us in good stead, I think, in not getting ahead of ourselves and being really clear about what we're doing and not having to backtrack. And it's challenging for our staff and our community. But I do think people are starting to adjust and realise just that we live in a whole different world just at the moment.
A few weeks ago, when the panic buying was at its height, there were lots of stories about city folk turning up in regional areas to strip the supermarket shelves bare, and I didn't see a lot of evidence that was actually occurring. Did that hit there for you in Colac Otway?
There is evidence of it in places that were reasonable proximity to Melbourne. So, yeah, there were people coming from Melbourne and from Geelong to Colac. And I know that people are going into other areas of Victoria as well. So, but you know, it's like any story; it's anecdotal. It's hard to know how much of the panic buying was by locals and how much of it was by visitors.
So, how generally is your council and your organisation keeping afloat at the moment? What's the mood like?
I think the mood's pretty good, and obviously because we haven't got a case, I think people are reasonably positive. I spoke to our home care, our community care staff today, and I've expressed to them my admiration for the work they do and the importance of the work they do. They're for local government really at the front line of this emergency. They seem pretty positive and really, obviously, they care about their clients and they'll continue to look after the vulnerable people in their care. So, I think we are really well prepared, and we've got a good positive attitude at the moment.
Terrific, Peter. I know you're busy. Really appreciate you talking to us. I know you've been around Western Victoria a long time, and this is probably, I'm sure, something like you've never dealt with before. So, you know, all the best in dealing with it, because I think it's here for a while.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Peter Brown with us, the CEO of Colac Otway Shire. If you have a story that you'd like to share with us on VLGA Connect from across the state, around the world of local government, we'd love to hear from you. Get in touch at vlga@vlga.org.au, and we hope to see you soon on VLGA Connect.